and welcome to Spilling Studio. My name is Sam, and this week we have a few ARE practice questions designed to help you pass your next exam. We have one question per exam topic and a bonus question at the end, so stick around. First up is practice management. A firm partner can determine how many hours have been spent on design development for a project by looking at which of the following: Office Earnings Report, Project Progress Report, Time Analysis Report, Profit and Loss Statement. Feel free to pause here to answer. The answer is Project Progress Report. Project Progress Report breaks down hours spent and associated costs for each phase of the project, which can then be compared to estimated hours and costs. This report also shows cost of consultants, overhead, and reimbursables. Project managers can see if the project is falling behind based on hours and costs spent and take corrective action as needed. The Office Earnings Report shows each of the firm's projects and associated profits. It also delineates expenses, unbilled services, level of completion, and current profit or loss. This aids the firm in finding projects that are hurting and allows them to take remedial action before completion of the project. Time Analysis Report summarizes the number of hours each employee spent on direct, indirect, sick, vacation, and holidays. This correlates to the chargeable ratio, which is the percentage of time spent on direct labor compared to indirect labor. This percentage should be between 75 and 85% for production staff. At my firm, I'm able to see my weekly, monthly, and yearly chargeable ratio. I'm usually around 80 or 85% since I work on some marketing items here and there, and marketing is indirect labor, so that will make the percentage lower. Profit and loss statement is self-explanatory. It shows all of the income and expenses of the firm over a specific time period. Depending on the level of income and expenses for that period, the firm will either have profit or losses, hence profit or loss statement. Next up is project management. According to the critical path chart below, how long is the critical path? 5 days, 6 days, 8 days, or 15 days? Pause here to answer. The answer is 8 days. The critical path is the longest path on the schedule. That's because if any items on the critical path are delayed or take too long to complete, then the project schedule is in danger. For instance, if task 1 took 2 days instead of 1 day, tasks 2 to 4 and 4 to 5 would be pushed back, resulting in the project being delayed by 1 day. Remember, the numbers in the circles show the beginning and end points. The numbers between the circles show the duration. Now on to programming and analysis. What road type carries large amounts of traffic on 2 or 3 lanes, does not have street parking, and does not provide direct access to buildings? Collector streets, arterial streets, expressways, or local streets? Pause here to answer. The answer is arterial streets. Local streets are low capacity, provide direct access to buildings, and have parking available on the street. They can be in the form of a grid or be curvilinear and may contain cul-de-sacs, roundabouts, or loops. Collector streets connect local streets to arterial streets. Connections to local streets are defined with stop signs, and connections to arterial streets are defined by stop lights. Collector streets have more capacity than local streets, but are not meant for through traffic. Arterial streets carry large amounts of traffic across 2 or 3 lanes. They do not have street parking, and they do not provide direct access to buildings. They are used to connect expressways to collector streets. Expressways move large volumes of traffic to major population centers or cities. They have various types of ramps that connect to arterial streets. Pedestrian access is not allowed. They require a significant amount of space and they produce a high level of noise. Looking at a satellite image, it gets a little easier to spot the different street types. Expressways are the most obvious with wide ramps and multiple lanes. Arterial roads typically intersect these and have multiple lanes. When collector streets meet arterial streets, there's typically a stoplight with pedestrian crosswalks. Local streets are much smaller, can be one-way, and are usually in residential areas or used as alleys. Now on to project planning. What are the minimum dimensions for a one-way and two-way road? 8 feet and 16 feet, 10 feet and 20 feet, 12 feet and 24 feet, or 15 and 30 feet. Pause to answer. And the answer is 12 feet to 24 feet. Recommended design guidelines for a one-way road is 12 feet and 24 feet for a two-way road. Roads should be wide enough to allow smooth maneuvering, easy turning, and to allow vehicles to pass with ease. While most cars are usually around 6 feet wide, roads need to be designed for emergency vehicles like fire trucks, as well as semi-trucks and other delivery vehicles. These vehicles are typically 9 feet wide. I post new questions every week, so please hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on a video. Now on to project development. Which of the following CRI emulates noon sunlight? 100, 93, 62, or 52? Pause to answer. The correct answer is 100. Alright, I'm going to give you the definition of CRI and then I'll put it simply. Ready? The color rendering index, or CRI, is used to evaluate how accurately a light source, such as a lamp or a bulb, renders or reproduces the color of objects compared to a reference light source, typically natural sunlight. It's a scale that quantifies the ability of a light source to reveal the true colors of various objects when illuminated by that source. The CRI is expressed as a numerical value on a scale from 0 to 100, with 100 representing perfect color rendering identical to natural sunlight. A higher CRI indicates that a light source is better in accurately displaying the colors of an object under its illumination, while a lower CRI suggests that the color may appear distorted or less vibrant. So, to put it simply, we're comparing how well the color matches what the color would be in sunlight. So, why does this matter? Well, CRI is an important factor, especially when choosing lighting for applications where color accuracy is critical, such as art galleries, retail settings, photography studios, and most importantly, in healthcare. Light sources with higher CRI values are preferred in these settings to ensure that colors of merchandise, artwork, or patient skin tones are displayed as accurately as possible. Next up is construction evaluation. An architect is nearing design completion of a new office building. The owner would like to include the option of installing solar panels on the roof to decrease the energy bill. The owner has submitted for a grant to provide funding for the solar installation. However, they do not know if they will receive this funding until after bids are due. How should the solar installation be included in the bidding documents? Alternate, allowance, unit price, or value engineering? Pause here to answer. The answer is alternate. So this question came from a project I'm actually working on right now. I have a training center where we fully designed a solar array for 2 buildings, but our client wasn't sure if they'd have enough funding when the project was supposed to start construction. So we listed it as an alternate in the bidding documents. Fortunately, their funding did come through and we are putting solar panels on both of those buildings. Woo! So alternates provide options and flexibility in pricing for the owner. Alternates can allow a change in material type or quality, or the deletion or addition of a component. In this scenario, the solar installation would be considered an add alternate since it would be adding a component to the base bid. A deductive alternate reduces the base bid. Alternates can be proactively included in the project by the owner, or the contractor may propose alternates within their bid. An allowance is a specific amount of money set aside for a particular item or material that has not been fully defined or specified at the time of bidding. Allowances are typically used when the exact quantity, quality, or cost of the material or equipment can't be determined. The amount of the allowance is listed in the specification so that all contractors are using the same amount in their bid. It's the contractor's responsibility to add on fees for delivery, labor, and installation costs. Once the base cost is determined, a change order is submitted to adjust the contract sum accordingly. So, it may not be exactly how much the allowance was. It could be a little more or a little less, and then they'll use a change order to adjust the contract sum to that amount. Unit prices are based on a specific portion and quantity of the work. This is used when the extent of the scope is unknown. So owners are able to compare contractors' unit price when bids are due. So if the full extent of the parking isn't known at the time, then contractors would provide a cost per square foot of asphalt or any other materials and items needed for that construction, and that way the owner can compare that cost per square foot against the other bids. Value engineering can be used throughout all stages of a project, beginning at design all the way through construction. It is a systematic and organized approach aimed to maximize the overall value of a project while minimizing costs. Various alternatives are analyzed in comparison to the project goals. Function, performance, and quality are each reviewed. Value engineering is most effective when used in the early stages of design. Now on to our bonus question. Which of the following should be included in the instructions to bidders? Check all that apply. Bidding documents, substitutions, contract forms, bidding procedures, addenda. Pause to answer. The correct answer is bidding documents, substitutions, bidding procedures, and addenda. Now, don't get instructions to bidders confused with bidding documents. You will need to know the difference between these when you're testing, so make sure you study the differences between instructions to bidders, bidding documents, bidding package, project manual, and what's part of the contract documents. Yes, all of those things are different. It took me a bit to differentiate between these when I was studying, so take a day or two to fully understand the purpose of these documents, who creates them, and what they include, because you will most likely get a test question on this. Instructions to bidders is part of the bidding documents, but they're not part of the contract documents. Here is a list of what is included in each. Feel free to screenshot this to study from. That's our questions for this week. I've linked some of my favorite study books in the description below, so go check those out. Let me know in the comments what subject areas you're struggling with, and I'll do my best to cover it in the next video. Thank you all for joining. Please subscribe and good luck on your next exam. You got this.